Good evening and welcome to Generation Movie as Rich, wake up.
It's Generation Movie time.
Is that the writer's tears?
You know it.
Jesus Christ.
The official, unofficial whiskey scotch of Filmbuff Online.
You're not going to clink me? Come on, I'm posted to you here, dude.
Hold on, I have to put the bottle back down.
Wait. Clink.
Stop. We've already lost control. Welcome to Generation Movie.
You never had control.
The SUNTORY whiskey episode of Generation Movie. Tonight we're doing Lost in Translation. My name is J.W. Colwell, joined as always by my partner in crime, Rich Drees, and by our special guest, the least guest for some episodes of the year. This is her last for a while. NATASHA Bogutzki. How you doing tonight, NATASHA?
I am well, JW. Thanks. How are you doing?
Stop. Straight ahead. Straight forward. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Right here. I'm right here.
I did it to Rich. I had to do it to you once.
I know, but it makes me nervous, and it's just okay. So we've been off for a couple weeks. We are also taking next week off, so I want to give everybody. We're going to get some news out tonight first before we start the Lost in Translation episode. Let's go with the best news of the day. Best news of the day, Rich.
Darn it, you are absolutely correct on that.
The best news of the day. So there's this little movie that was made, and it was called Coyote versus Acme. And everybody who saw it said it was amazing and generational and just super cool. And we have this douchebag that runs Warner Brothers now, and his name is David Zaslav, and he's just the worst kind of human being possible. He's the kind of person that makes art and then scraps art for tax purposes, which is just about.
He didn't make this. This was pretty much in the pipeline before, he
don't make excuses.
Assumed head of Warner's. Coming over from Discovery. So this is the guy who thinks Dr. Pimple Popper is fantastic programming, and he's making value judgments on what Warner's is making now. So that's why the studio's kind of half fucked.
He's a terrible, terrible person, and he makes terrible, terrible decisions. But we have freedom news. We have freedom news. It was thought that it was going to be lost to the world. There were 3 movies that were kind of like in this lost zone. Right? It was Scoob, A Holiday Haunt, Batgirl, and Coyote versus Acme. Right? Those are the 3. Mm-hmm. So this company named Ketchup Entertainment, run by Garrett West, recently picked up a Looney Tunes movie, and it's not doing great, but it's not doing bad.
Nope.
And for what they acquired it for. And basically it's made about $8 million in the last 3 weeks. It's probably going to last about 4 weeks in theaters and then go streaming somewhere, not Max. And basically what's going to happen is that this company, Ketchup Entertainment, who bought The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, they purchased Coyote vs. Acme from Warner Brothers for a decent sum of money. Probably a large chunk of money, to be honest.
Not bad.
I think when the story broke a week or so ago about the negotiations happening, I think they were looking at around 50 to 70 million, which is a little bit below what Warner's originally had shot the movie around.
Right.
And they decided to take the tax write-off. I'm excited. I don't know where Ketchup is getting their money, but I hope they keep getting it. I don't think we're going to see this movie before next year, but
I don't know when we're going to see it or how we're going to see it, but they bought it, they have it, and basically they're very much in love with the classic Looney Tunes. So the movie was budgeted at $70 million. Mm-hmm. The company did a $115 million write-down, which included Coyote vs. Acme, Batgirl, and Scoob Holiday Haunt, and basically kind of put all those directors and everything and just kind of like acted awful. This movie, though, has a really good cast. It has Will Forte, It has John Cena, has Wile E. Coyote. It's a live-action animated hybrid film, and it's apparently hilarious. Like,
I heard it test screened very well a few months
well, they
ago.
only had they only had 3 screenings of it. The 2 test screenings were amazing, and then the last screening was a cast screening where Will Forte came out of the cast screening and said, "I can't believe this fucking movie's not getting released." You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like everybody was expletive, what the fuck, coming out of the screening. Because apparently it's really good.
I remember John Cena was super freaking pissed about it because even he was going, "No, this is amazing. Why
this
is
one's
not getting
this
cast?"
one's good. This is a movie I'm part of. It's good. I think they should try to release it as soon as possible and get in on the Cena hype right now. Cena's in an amazing run right now. He turned heel in wrestling, and he hasn't done it in 25 years. And every segment he's in is 250 million downloads every week right now. So they should release this movie quick. It's his last year in wrestling. They should release it as fast as they can. But that is the best news of the day. It's not?
Well, the best news of the day for me currently is the fact that you spelled whiskey wrong in our title.
Just so we're clear, that is how
I love you.
That is how the Japanese spell whiskey.
I give up. I'm just going to bed,
Bro.
guys. Good night.
So we're clear.
If
you go to the Suntory Whiskey website, they spell it whiskey, WHISKY. I was just being specific.
Why'd you have to burp my brain?
Why did you have to call me out on the show?
Because I love you.
Hold on. When you spell it that way, it sounds like you're ascribing characteristics of a kitchen whisk to something else. It's kind of whiskey.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like a spoon, but it's got spoons, so it's more whiskey.
I'm sorry, you two are racist. If you go to the Suntory Whiskey website, it's WHISKY. I checked twice.
Hey. I'm just thrilled I saw a film today about it's set in Tokyo that didn't have a giant monster in it, so you know.
Are you thrilled about that though?
That happened.
Are you thrilled? Are you thrilled with that though? Wouldn't you have preferred a giant monster?
Depends how we feel about Ribisi as a husband, but
depends on how we feel about karaoke in general. Anyway,
I'm an avid karaokeer.
Okay.
So.
Let's see. Other big news in Hollywood today. This is going to be talked about. Apparently, people like this guy hitting things with hammers a lot for some reason. And he's into the Liam Neeson portion of his career, where he's just
when wasn't he?
Oof.
You know what though? He's been in. He was in challenging films to begin with. If you think about it. The Guy Ritchie movies were much more depth oriented than what he's doing now.
Okay,
now it's the same fucking movie.
It's not about the action movies. When I say when wasn't he, it's not about action. It's about the idea of looking cool. He likes to look.
Okay, I understand that, but there's a difference between early cool Statham, like. I think there's a big difference between early, like even the early Transporter movies and now are totally different times.
Yeah.
Beekeeper, he's working with David Ayer all the time now. But the big news of the day is that guy did pretty well at the box office for a movie that only cost $39 million to make. And this young girl is taking the brunt of a horrific disaster that's not her fault in any way, because she's the only thing in the movie that's decent.
Do we have to talk about this?
We do have to talk about this for a brief moment. Right. It is the movie business. We are a movie show.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the movie. I said it was.
I haven't seen it, so I'm abstaining because I don't have.
I will say 99.7% of the criticism being hurled at Rachel Ziegler is about things not connected with the movie, and I think they're
Very
shitty.
true.
And I sort of hate that I have to kind of defend her over a movie I think is only okay.
It's mid.
It's not great.
Mid.
You know,
it's
other
mid.
people's mileage may vary. I know a lot of people who really loved it. I know some people who are just like, on its own merits or lack thereof, did not like it. So yeah,
I think
this
it's
is one of those
movies. It's one of those movies where who's it for? Remember, you and I used to talk about every once in a while, like, who is this movie for? And the thing is, like, I was talking about the idea that older Disney movies are the ones that are having trouble adapting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no connection. Like, there's no Lion King connection, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin connections. Snow White is something that not a lot of people have experienced in a theater, the original, right? It got probably you and I
was 82 or 83.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
theatrical.
So what is the
I saw it in 75.
point? That's what I'm. Jesus Christ! I saw it in 84.
Theatrical film.
Really?
That's
amazing. I saw it in 84, I think. But that was when Disney was doing the 7-year rule, where they were releasing their movies every 7 years.
Yeah.
I think it's an okay movie. I think Gadot is horribly miscast. Like, whoever told Gal Gadot that this was a great idea because of how she looks compared to the Queen, they are giving her bad advice. And I think it's crappy when a movie fails because people have set out to kind of have a political thing. And Ziegler for me is the only thing to recommend about the movie. Like, you're asking me who the most talented person in the movie is, it's Ziegler. If you ask me what the nightmare fuel is, the dwarves. It's just, well, I don't get in the middle.
So much. I don't mind so much that they fall right off the cliff into the uncanny valley. I mean, I can deal with that aspect of it. I think the actual design choice themselves to go after that mirror of the animated version, it is a bad decision.
It's like in the middle. They don't. It's like, you know what? Just digitize the ones from the movie. We're gonna go this route. Don't make them photorealistic. That's crazy. That's insane. And like I said,
they use their photorealism with the animals, but they still softened them a little bit to give them a little bit more of the cartoon look. And I think it worked great, like the deer and the squirrel and everything. It's not, photoreal. I mean, it has a photorealism to it, but it's not as accurate.
Yes, it's the idea that they could make a Bambi. The immediate thought in my head was they could make Bambi like this. This could work for Bambi.
That I don't mind.
No one needs a live action Bambi. That thing is
you're
animated one.
You're absolutely right, because it would just be as bad as live action Lion King.
Yes, it wouldn't be great. Again, I'm not defending the movie.
We all know where we all stand on that.
No, I just don't need any more nightmare fuel from Bambi.
Okay, well, we're gonna end this. This is good. I don't know what you guys have discussed on your Film Buff Online show, but we're gonna discuss this really quick because Rich and I have been sending stuff to each other for 2 weeks. What do you do when your favorite movie? One of your favorite movie franchises is bought by Blofeld? How does this work? How does this fucking work, Rich? Every time I read an article, Rich, it gets worse.
Actually, he strikes me more as Jonathan Price's character from
World's Not Enough.
No, wrong. Sorry.
No.
Tomorrow, The World is Tomorrow. What is it?
Tomorrow Never Dies.
No.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yes, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, he does. That's fine. That also works. Anyway, I try to give him better, cooler villain. What I'm going to say to you right now is, I'm nervous about the gatekeepers. And I sent you a message. The two people they picked are not really great at gatekeeping. They haven't been great at gatekeeping. They're not good at gatekeeping, and I'm nervous.
Oh well. He was so nervous his computer exploded. Anyways, you back?
Damn Amazon.
That's
they
what
heard you.
happens when you go after
I
them.
don't fuck around. I'm just
They
I'm,
shut you
I'm
down.
nervous, Rich. I'm nervous in the sense that the people that they've put in charge of this are not
I'm
elite.
cautiously optimistic. Yes, we all want a bag on what's her face?
Amy Pascal.
Amy Pascal, yes, thank you. We all want a bag on Amy Pascal because the Sony Spider-Man film or Spider-Man adjacent films have not been good. There's some
That's a
interesting
modest
ideas,
understatement.
but they've not been good. But when she was president of Sony, she oversaw Casino Royale through Spectre. Couple, clunker in there too, like Quantum of Solace. Casino Royale was fabulous.
That's not her fault, though. That was the writer's strike.
That was the writer's strike, though. Yes, but she oversaw like 4 Bond films there, so she has experience with the franchise. So I can see that choice being a good one. She's also overseen other franchises as well as original properties as head of Sony. The other guy oversaw Harry Potter.
Yes,
David Heyman's a good choice. He knows how to market a franchise, and I'm not just talking Harry Potter, but Paddington as well. And
Okay.
Yes.
he's good with British properties.
And he has a reputation among British creators. So if you're a crew guy, if you're a cinematographer and you get a call from him saying, I want to do Bond, as opposed to, I don't know,
That's fair.
David Zaslav asking you if you want to do Bond.
Fuck that. I'm out.
Do you want to do Bond with Wile E. Coyote? No. So one of the stories that came out, I sent you a story, basically that there were all kinds of disagreements going on behind the scenes before Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson left. And the one was with this one lady that just left Amazon. And her name was Jennifer Salke. And she was fighting openly with Broccoli Wilson camp and basically saying that Bond needed to be a much less dangerous character. And basically, she's gone. I'm just saying this is
Bond using her as the cudgel to kind of, get the Broccoli's to, go into a very well-funded $1 billion retirement.
Yes.
So they could just have a clean slate to go ahead and do what they want. Possibly. I have not heard reportage.
I was reading the stuff where the stuff she was pitching to them was abysmal. Like, scary. And the reason they were waiting was just like they were waiting for her to get fired, is essentially what this article I sent you talks about, is that she was so ridiculous in the meetings that they were like, we can't even talk to you. We don't even know what you're talking. You're not talking about our franchise. You're talking about like something you would see on NBC. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about something you'd see like The Hunting Party. You know what I mean? Like, ridiculous, garbage. Garbaggio. Anyway, I'm nervous. I think they need to. This casting choice is going to be so important. Not that it ever isn't important, but
I have maybe. Obviously, as we go forward, we're gonna get a better idea. Like I said, I have cautious optimism. We're still too early to kind of, I think, put a final stamp onto. What
about you? We're not getting Eva Green. We're not getting Eva Green, Natasha. What about you? Are you okay with are you less nervous than I am for some reason?
Yes, I am less nervous than you are for some reason.
Why? It's a show. That's why I'm asking.
Well, how about we start with what Joe Reguli just said?
I try not to pay attention to what Joe says.
Well, you better.
Poor Joe.
Let's do comments then. Good evening, friends. Good evening, Ken. I forgot.
Evening,
Good
Candy.
all. Hi,
Joe.
Hi, Jamie
you
Hill.
guys
How
for
are you
dropping
doing?
by.
Hope you're doing well.
Jamie,
Thanks for coming
good to see you.
around. How much do I need to drink to catch up, everyone?
I
I'm fine.
literally
Well-
just started, and I don't feel like it's enough.
Yeah, he's half
I'd say
a
about
bottle
half a
in.
bottle.
Yeah. Passing of our buddy Richard Norton. I was getting to it. Stop. Slow your roll, Joe. Originally slow. Joe is always like I'm not gonna forget the comments. Jesus, there's active things all over the place. My God, people are losing their minds. Also, I don't have to do the comments all the time, so now it's like it's much better for me. I don't have to do the comments on the other show, so it's like it's nice. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, but Richard Norton did pass away. He was a good friend of the stream and the podcast. So we wish his family a hearty rest in peace. He worked on a lot of movies, helped us with the launch of the network. So that's for Joe. Let's see what else. I'm old school for live action animation combined. Yeah, that's fine.
That's what you're
it's
going to get
easy.
in Coyote versus Acme.
The Bond villains will start winning, possibly. Get ready for Amazon selling GoldenEye Bond powder so you can rent the movie. Possibly. If
That
he
brings
doesn't
up
have
an
a helper,
point, though, that I've been thinking about recently. I haven't heard anybody talk about. What are the big Amazon shows? Lord of the Rings, now Bond, Reacher, Wheel of Time. What do they all have in common? They're all based on literary properties. Maybe I'm still stuck with the idea of Amazon being, a big bookseller and then everything else. But I have to think that decisions about acquiring these properties have to factor in what the selling history of those books for the last 30 years that the sites existed, and then
Okay.
what they think will generate new sales. Does the Wheel of Time series generate new sales of the books? Do you see an upswing when a new season comes out for Reacher? I'd really like to see some reporting on that, and no one has really done it because I've looked every now and then and I've not seen it.
Well, I think that's an interesting way to go. The interesting thing about Bond is you can barely find merchandise. Bond merchandise, they do tie-ins, but they very rarely do shirts, T-shirts. Like, it's very hard to find a Bond shirt. I tried when we were doing our Bondathons.
No, he does have something there. I just randomly pulled up best Amazon Prime originals, and like the top several between. I'm sorry, I'm going to mention it because it is listed in the top 6 here. Good Omens, The Boys, Jack Ryan, Reacher, Rings of Power, and then
it's all IP.
Yeah, Fleabag was a play. Then the only original one that I can actually find here is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Invincible comic book. Daisy Jones and the Six. That's a book. Like he's got a point.
No, that's a valid point, but that
I'm gonna clip that and make that your new ringtone when you call me.
Fuck off.
That's a valid point, Rich.
That'll be the ringtone.
You're right.
Make it your ringtone. That's fine. You're Rich, right? Rich is right. No. What I was gonna say is that is a valid point. Reacher just ended its 3rd season. Gangbusters, kind of like doing ratings rise, also propelling him into the lead into Alan Ritchson, I think his name is, into the lead for Batman. There's a lot of talk. He has told James Gunn he will do Batman for free, which I mean isn't
I'm sure
true.
Zaslav
But
likes that.
Zaslav is like, yes, sign him up quick. Also, bury the Looney Tunes. Anyway, okay, so good talk. Natasha's not worried because she thinks somebody's going to take over and be happy, I guess.
I'm
I don't think
not worried unless they cast Henry Cavill, and then I probably won't watch any of those movies.
Why?
First off, one, did you see his audition for Casino Royale? 2, or B, whichever you prefer, he's too big, way too fucking big of a star, and also too big of a man. That's the problem. If you want a super spy, if you want a really good spy, you want someone who's going to blend in with the crowd. Yeah.
Craig is huge. Craig is huge.
But he's
exactly.
Connery was huge.
No, I think no. Wait.
No,
I think they're far more willier than. Yeah. I mean, this is something Natasha and I talked about before. I would love to see go back to that original Ian Fleming description of Bond as very like thin person with a face like Hoagie Carmichael.
Okay, that's pushing it.
That
won't sell. I'm sorry, it won't sell. But
yeah, why
do you gotta hate Hoagie Carmichael, Natasha?
I'm just saying it won't sell. If you have Henry Cavill walk into a room, I'm sorry, he does not fucking blend in. He's the worst spy in the world because
he's a big slice of ham.
All the guys in the room are gonna go straight to him. The women are gonna want to fuck him. The men are gonna want to beat his ass up because the women want to fuck him or they want to beat him. And that is not a good spy.
Did you just come from the union meeting or something? Like why? Like you're talking like you're down on the docks. It's like are you doing on the waterfront? Anyway.
Contender.
Marlon
Brando in his heyday would have made a better Bond than Cavill.
Oh no. Okay, well it's that about that time where we actually talk about movies. New comment. Hold on. Fine. James Bond. Christopher Lloyd. No.
He'll break a hip first.
Bond. James Bond. Oh,
Marty Bond. Anyway.
Marty, get the DeLorean.
We gotta.
It's got machine guns in it now.
we gotta get this thing going.
Too big. You need an unknown. That's the thing. Stop looking at stars. They are going to choose an unknown from indie films that one they don't have to pay a whole lot to right out the gate. And then
I don't think the money thing is an issue anymore. The budget for the next one is
it's a star-making role. You don't choose a fucking star.
Well, I mean, because
then people can't see him as anything else as then this star.
But doesn't that get put to the side when Brosnan took over?
No, because he was only really known for television, and at that time,
but he was a star.
He was a star, but at that time there was also a big disconnect still between television and film.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's all combined. Film stars go to streaming stars go to film. If you're a star in one, guess what?
So who's your pick, Natasha?
Who's my pick?
Yes.
Give me before the end of this episode. I'm going to be thinking about this for the next hour because everyone I'm thinking of is either too old or too big. Like Theo James, I think is perfect, but he's starting to break a little bigger and he's too old for the role. Now, about 10 years ago, perfect. Now, not so much.
See, he's huge and beautiful too. He's in the same Cavill boat.
No, he's not. He's not as muscular. When you think Cavill, he's fucking Superman. He's already got that big list.
Have you not seen him in The Gentleman? He's huge.
Hold on. Watch this. I'm watching it right now.
He's huge.
But he's not bulky. He's not he's not someone like a bodybuilder who's going to come in and with one slug, he's taking your ass out and you know it before you even try to fight him.
Okay.
I think Cavill being in a Mission Impossible film is kind of disqualifies him anyways.
Yeah. Also,
Mission
he was secondary role.
Mission Impossible, you say, huh, Rich? Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. James Bond, Wanda Sykes. No? Okay. That would break the mold. there's betting going on, so I want to make sure we give the best possible answer, Natasha, in case people want to wager money on your incredible opinion. Okay, anyway, let's see. We are here to talk about this movie right here. An unhappy Bill Murray, an unhappy Scarlett Johansson, in a pretty ridiculously happy city, I guess. We are doing Lost in Translation tonight, and it is. I saw it last week for the first time in a long time, and it holds up remarkably well. I will say that to begin tonight's episode.
It does.
It holds up remarkably well. Production is wild. Like, the story of this production, two things. I didn't know that. Well, I knew about the secrecy of Bill Murray, but the idea that he doesn't actively sign contracts is something where you
didn't know this?
No. But okay, so I knew that you have to call a specific phone number, and he answers the messages and all this other stuff. But I didn't know if he gets cast in a movie, then he says, "Yeah, I'll just show up," and there's no legally binding contract. And so I think it's one of those things where you look at this. I think it permeates the production in the sense that it becomes this. It permeates the style of the production in like a willy-nilly kind of like, holy fuck, I don't know, I have him, but I don't know that I have him, and we're gonna start doing prep and trying to do everything, but I don't know that he's gonna show, and fucking 800 number, and then basically everybody was like trying to get him in. But then she goes to Tokyo. They have the filming. 27 days, very tight schedule, 6 days per week, no permits, guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. And just lots
when
of
that
problems.
was allowed.
Well, not just allowed, but lots of problems with literally things that are lost in translation. Literally, like the idea that they had to hire bilingual people to try to explain what she was trying to get, and then all kinds of respect issues with if you're filming in a restaurant in the States and you're filming in a restaurant in Tokyo, it's two different ball games. Like, the restaurant in the States is like, we just want to be in the movie. Restaurant in Tokyo is like, you better fucking respect us, right? And they had one sequence where they were filming, I guess, the lunch scene, which is the most uncomfortable fucking movie scene I've seen in recent memory. It's so uncomfortable. And they were filming that scene, and they went over the allotted time, and the owner of the restaurant just turned out the lights and left. So, like, that's the story that I was reading about, that I was like, I was enamored with how fucking guerrilla it was, right? It's a sparse screenplay. It's you know what I mean? A lot of improv, a lot of dialogue improv with Murray, a lot of dialogue improv with Scarlett Johansson, and just kind of like, crew members that were American that were over there trying to explain how to do things.
Yeah.
I will admit that while I was watching this, I was often wondering, do some of these people know that they're in a movie? Do some of these people know that a superstar like Bill Murray is walking right by them? All sorts of things. I was like, how are these, did they ever know? Just one day, it's like, oh, let's watch this American movie. I heard it's good. It's set in Tokyo. And they're like,
holy shit, that's Bob.
Like, Mom, what are you doing?
Why are you in the movie? Also, like, another thing that I realized rewatching this movie is she was a baby. She was so young in this movie, where you're like watching it going, I don't even remember her being this young. You know what I mean? Like, she was this young and then she wasn't.
I kind of go like Ghost World, young, and then Black Widow, like mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And she's what, 19 here when she filmed
17.
this?
17.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, to make it
especially
more
when
uncomfortable for us.
Well, she's playing older, obviously, because she says she's married and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a great performance though. It's a fantastic performance, and it feels very natural. Again, I wonder how much of it came out of the improvisation stuff they were doing, how much of it was actually directed, and how much of it was just innately hers. I mean, I think it would be interesting to kind of sit down and watch that movie with her and just go, okay, what was going on here, and stuff like that.
Well, and I think the most interesting things about the production, the two things that are like key things that set it apart, both beginning and end, right? The part of the productions that, as people who watch a lot of movies, the male gaze that we're forced to watch for 36 seconds that opens the movie, which is one of the more incredible tracking shots that you could ever have, right? Just pink cotton and nothing else really left to the imagination. And it's just an incredible tracking shot. That's also, it starts out cool, and then midway through you're like, I need this to end. I'm like looking away and just whatever. And then the last shot is just the meeting on the street. We don't get any kind of closure. It's incredibly original. Like, the script is really sparse, and like they were going to dub lines over it, but they, like, all these different things, all these decisions all went her way, right, during production.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them, the decisions that she made were solid decisions that end up making the movie like a neo-modern classic.
Yeah. It's
an
iconic classic. I think it really stands out from even other stuff that was being done in the indie.
Well, even her stuff. It's the best movie.
Features at the
her
time.
Best movie. It's her best movie. Are you Marie? You're not going to say Marie Antoinette?
No.
Okay.
No, I was going through her filmography. I don't really think that.
Sorry, that looked like an eye roll.
No, that was me like looking up, because I do that when I think sometimes.
Oh my God, that's the creepiest thing you do.
Oh no, there's other.
No, there's other creepy things. Okay, good. I'm so glad. That doesn't make it better, Rich. There's other creepy things. Okay. But I think all the choices she makes, that are, whether they're from attrition or whether they're from
you wouldn't consider virgin suicides to be her best?
No.
Really?
No, I think it's good.
It's a hell of a debut.
It's a hell of a debut.
Yeah.
One of the better debuts of modern directors. Mm-hmm. But this is like, the script is sparse, but she makes it plentiful. If that makes any sense. Like, there's a lot of stuff in it where it's just her picking things out that work. And I just think, a lot of it is more, it's so inherent to her making the right decisions. And the Virgin Suicides is good. It's just not.
The Virgin Suicides is an adaptation of.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think this is her
personal to her.
Yeah, this is her on a plate, right? This is her giving a story that, because it's based. One of the script stuff that comes up when you do research into it, she had a really weird week for the Virgin Suicide, right? In Tokyo, she had a really weird week where she was going to shows that she didn't understand, and she was like just whisked around Tokyo, and was just very, very
untethered.
Untethered and weird. And so, what I think she gets here, also, Virgin Suicide performances are okay, but in this movie you have two performances that are really way above standard, right? for like independent movies of the 90s, 2000s, this is a much better these two performances are better than almost any other independent film you're going to see.
I do appreciate that the dream pop landscape, not just in the music, but in the color palette, is still very prevalent as it is through almost all of Sofia Coppola's filmography.
Yeah, Tokyo has never looked better. Lance Accord is the director of photography. It looks, even in the claustrophobic nightclubs, even in the weird sex club they go to in one point, even like everything is claustrophobic and also brightly lit. Like it's an incredible kind of like where you're just like, that's interesting. And you know, just the idea that this movie kind of went through all these different things, where you know, Murray comes in, brings a lot to the table, but I'll say this because I love Bill Murray, but his kinetic energy on movies isn't always harnessed, is the way I would say it.
It's the Jack Black effect.
Exactly what I was going to say. Because you've heard me rant about how like Jack Black is really good in High Fidelity, but in something like Saving Silverman, or Orange County, I want to eat a bullet. I just hate his performance there.
Well, I still think that his best performance ever is The Holiday. And
I was going to say School of Rock.
And I think both of those are
top five.
But especially
women.
Murray
they're
needs to
directed by women, so they know how to rein them in. They know what to pull from them.
Maybe that's the case. I think to get all of those things right in the production it's an incredible thing, especially when you don't know who's shooting one day to the next. Like you're reading the stuff, like you're like,
I get that.
Members,
but may I make an argument for my point?
Yeah.
Comedians often hide true pain behind the humor. It's a mask that they put on to entertain or to make sense of the craziness of their life or the lives of those around them.
Yes.
Take, for example, Martin Short.
I thought you were going to say somebody like that Rich and I were definitely thinking about, like, I don't know, Jackie Gleason.
No, I was going to say Martin Short, who has stated several times that when someone comes up to him, he's on. That persona immediately snaps on because he's an entertainer and that's what the people want. So to have someone, as I've actually had this conversation with Darren earlier on, for those just joining us, Darren is my husband.
Made her take down the tree. Also, if you're just joining us.
Let's not get into that, please. I don't want to be forced by the end of the show. Anyway, so we were talking about this. He goes, what is it about this that is more female gaze than male? And I said, maybe presenting your male character without a mask, being able to see the sensitivity that would normally be hidden behind testosterone and is it's stripping it away to see how wounded the person actually is beneath it. And that's one of the reasons why I think we get better performances in The Holiday from Jack Black and here from Bill Murray, is because they're saying, take the fucking mask off. You're not on. Be a human being. I want to see everything underneath you. This script is pinning you to a washed up actor. And I'm sure at this time, Bill Murray wasn't the best in his career that he ever was. There is the separation of being away from his family, being away from his kids, not understanding the life that he's leading, or even wondering if it's all worth it. The Burgundy. Okay, fuck it. Happy wife, happy life. The Burgundy's perfect. It shut down everything else. Like, that's a real reaction. That's not something that you just that in its way is a mask, but
no, he's inherently an unhappy character.
Yeah.
He does a really good job of kind of bouncing through these different, like, these horrifically painful, like, there's a phone call in the early part of the movie where he's talking to his wife, and his daughter won't eat broccoli.
Yeah.
To eat. She's like, she doesn't want to talk to you. Like, great. You just said she was mad I'm not there. You know, and it is definitely a
beautiful.
The script is a it kind of tears both of them down and then tries to build them up and then kind of like rips them back down again.
There's a moment, and I don't know if it's a script moment because I didn't pull the script and actually read it for this, and I probably should have.
Yeah.
It might have just been a performance moment, but my favorite moment throughout this entire film was when the two of them were laying in bed just talking after he opens up to her about how marriage is great, but then it gets more complicated once you have kids and this and that. The final shot, which is in a God's eye, he reaches down and just slightly caresses her foot. That moment for me, the caressing of the foot, is my favorite moment in the entire film.
I have another favorite. I'm going to give it to you right now because you did your favorite. So my favorite part of the movie that I noticed for the first time on this watching, when he's doing the shooting with the Japanese director for the Suntory whiskey ad, WHISKY, whiskey ad. When he's doing the shooting and they're like telling him Rat Pack and they're doing all these things, and he has a thing where he's like holding his hand against his face. And for the first time, I noticed late in the movie, after they have the blow up at the lunch, and then they meet back up in the restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a sequence where he leans into her and he does the hand thing the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That I had never noticed before. It's the only time in the movie he does the hand thing the right way, where it's like it's cool and what it's supposed to be, and the only person that can get it out of him is her. And I was like, that's super cool. And I don't know if it was like, that's another thing about this movie production wise.
That might have been a Bob Harris personal tick.
Yes. Well, no, but it's
that he can't
definitely
force. It just happens naturally.
It happens naturally, and that's fine. But the script is only 75 pages. The movie's an hour and 40 minutes. Script's only 75 pages, so a lot of this is just kind of a canvas by which the two subjects paint along with her. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a great collaboration piece.
It's an incredible collaboration piece, and I think the production aside, like this guerrilla filmmaking, you know, the take that got all the attention early, right? Because it's reminiscent of Contempt, right? Bridget Bardot. It's reminiscent of like a bunch of other amazing French movies that maybe you, Rich, and I have seen, and everybody else watching tonight have not. And they should. You should watch some Bridget Bardot movies.
Absolutely.
And Marcello Mastroianni movies.
Yes.
But it's
I love that they did La Dolce Vita. That made me so freaking happy.
It's perfect.
I like whacked Darren. I'm like, that's the scene I was telling you about that I ADR'd at Cinecittà. And he was like, what?
Yeah, that's but I think they get a lot of it right. I think a lot of it is the chemistry, but it's also her kind of like knowing what to capture, how to capture it. The lunch sequence is an amazing shot where they look so bitter, and it's just like I don't know. It's one of the more uncomfortable things. So some pictures that we can show you. This is also a favorite, right? This sequence where they're tired from karaoke. She's put on the pink hair. All the weird people that are in the party that she's at. This is Suntory time, right? But the fucking weird hand thing. And then, like you said, it's documentary style, so people like it. Does this looks like a horror film? This shot looks like a horror film. Like, oh my god, is that one of the creatures from Quiet Place? No.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. And and then her singing to him, and then her like kind of just walking around and like using umbrellas in interesting ways. I think one of the interesting things production wise is that with the Virgin Suicide, she announced her presence, but with this movie has so many things, elements in it that are from other movies
Mm-hmm.
that she loves, and I think that's another great. Box
I
up.
dare say,
Go ahead.
because it's Sofia Coppola and because of her dad, the use of umbrellas in here does make me think of the French film, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is also about an unrequited love that ultimately the two people who are in love have to go different ways.
They did no love.
I don't want to say that the friendship that we see here is a romantic love. I think it's a very deep friendship love, which I think is maybe even a little bit better than romantic love. But I think there's at least a wibbly wobbly parallel there.
I think another interesting side of that, like that shot I just showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did all natural light. There's very little rigging or any kind of light in the movie that's not actually light. That's based on what's available to them.
Yeah,
right?
It's very cinema verite.
It's very cinema verite, very documentary style. And like I said, like I got the picture. This is where the scene happens with his hand. Then they get really close. He gets the hand right, and I was like, oh, that's so cool that he only gets the hand right with her. Okay, box office numbers wise, incredible numbers for Lost in Translation. So the budget of this movie was $4 million. Impressive. Opening weekend.
Get $4 million to make a feature, Rich.
I would make a very nice feature for $4 million and have good catering. If I may, just for a moment, I want to sidetrack here. One of the other news stories I saw last week was California was expanding some of their tax credits to keep production in state to fight runaway production. And I was looking at like the various categories for like a 35% tax rebate and this and that. And it was like one of them was short films with a minimum budget of $1 million. And I was like, motherfucker, I can make 5 features for $1 million. I don't know what you're talking about. Short film for $1 million. I was you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. You gotta fix it.
Meanwhile, back at Lost in Translation.
Back at Lost in Translation. So it cost $4 million to make. Opening weekend was $925,000. It ends up grossing. Well, first off, it opens on 23 theaters opening weekend. It never gets above 882 theaters in the country. But those 882 theaters it plays at, it runs for 11 and a half weeks, which is a stunning amount of time for an independent movie in 2003. It grosses $44 million domestic. Internationally, it grosses $72 million for $117 million total on a $4 million budget, or 29.3 times its production budget for total gross. And it basically, the inflation adjusted domestic box office would be 82 million. So a little bit more than.
Remember the good old days when we'd actually let movies run in theaters for a good while? And
like I said, I was telling you a couple weeks ago. We were talking about it a couple weeks ago. That was the biggest concern that we had as an independent theater, right? The idea that they were cutting the windows. The windows was always the biggest thing we were fighting about. And now there are no windows, so there are no mid-level movies. The windows don't exist, so the only thing that can exist is the Spielberg and Lucas thing where they talked up the theaters are only going to be open for like big event films and everything else, good luck. And it's kind of coming to fruition. You know what I mean? But it's a sad thing. 11 weeks is a long time for an independent movie to play. That's a long time. And 823 theaters. That means it never got wide. It never platformed out like to the point where like platforming out used to be 400, 800, 1200, 1600 theaters, right? Especially a movie like this that was like Oscar bait, right? So I was looking at this going 882 theaters. That's it. That's all it played in. Now the thing about Scranton, where you guys are at, and where I used to be, is that Scranton is one of the towns that happens to have one of a company's flagship theater that makes a boatload of cash. And I'm talking about Cinemark.
Of course.
They are a flagship theater of that company. And that theater makes a ton of money and gets all of the movies it needs to get. I was up against that. That was not fun to have to try to talk, distributors into giving us prints. So, but it's one of those things. 883 theaters is not a lot. And I was amazed that was for a movie that did so well, 44 million box office. That's a lot of cash to not have any theaters.
I have a sad observation about that Cinemark then too, but we can wait till after we wrap.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm a little worried to hear what it's going to be.
It just bumped me out when I realized it when I was up there last week. But anyways.
It's a bottom line theater. It might be bum you. Is that what bums you out? Is that they put no money into that theater whatsoever?
Oh,
you know how
it has. I know what he's getting at. Am I
you know
right?
how it has the main concession stand, and then when it opened, it had the two other concession stands on either wing.
Yeah, I used to run them.
Those were manned. Those have not been manned forever, but one of them, actually, I just realized recently, they just absolutely boarded it off completely. They
boarded it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's
the one as you walk in and you turn to the left.
Yeah,
and you walk past the little bar area.
They used to have it open on Saturdays.
It hasn't been open on Saturdays for a long time.
No,
I was there. I'll tell you the days where both were open. I worked at Cinemark before I worked at Endless Mountains Theater, and I went the day both of those satellite stands were open was Shrek 2. That place was a fucking zoo on Memorial Day. There were so many
open. It was just open for Wicked and Gladiator.
Was it?
Yeah, I know.
Now.
I got my usual French fries with cheese and ketchup.
The side concession.
What kind of a monster are you?
I'm talking
cheese
like in the.
Ketchup.
Are you literally asking that question right now,
What
Jake?
kind of a monster are you? Cheese and ketchup on your.
I didn't know we had multiple choice monsters to choose from.
Well, she's like hissing like anyway. Critical response then and now. So we use Rotten Tomatoes as a good aggregate. Lost in translation. 95% from critics, 85% from folks. It was so popular in 2003. It got a lot of press. It got a lot of polls hoping it was going to win Best Picture. It got, a lot of critics loved the movie, right? So 95%. And the reviews are all like, you have a couple where it gets into that the film is mildly racist. But that comes after the fact. That comes well after the fact.
I don't know if the film is or if it's just
I think
characters feeling out of sorts and not in touch with the culture. So we're seeing their interpretation of things that might
I
not be.
don't think the movie's actually racist, but I could see people going. Very few people go to Tokyo and not have any kind of like fallback.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You don't go to Tokyo without planning you're going to Tokyo and trying to at least be able to functionally get around. It just so happens that these two characters are not functional people, and then
Yeah.
they go around and they're not functional with other people who happen to be of a different race. I don't think it's racist, but it is out there, and that's one of the things we do in this section of our responses.
I like the idea that they're because we're seeing it from an American point of view. Some things are going to be awkward because they're not because we're racist, but because we don't understand the culture. And
I think it works.
I will be right.
Okay, the whiskey's gotten to her. Okay, she'll be right back. Okay, so I'm gonna go over some of the reviews that I thought were really good.
Okay.
Richard Corliss said, "You won't find a subtler, funnier, more poignant performance this year than this quietly astonishing turn by Bill Murray." And that is one of the cruxes of this thing. This was one of the rare opportunities where everybody thought Murray had a shot at Academy Gold, right, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
This was one of the performances. Other reviews that were amazing. Well, no, again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I don't see what happened. To be honest, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I think he's by nature standoffish, and I think if you have to go in to first off, he is a guy that has an 800 number to get a hold of him. If you have to go to Academy lunches and hobnob with these people, and he doesn't like that,
and he would be a terrible campaigner, and I think people might find it impressive that he didn't do that and vote for him because everybody else was up their nose about it.
Corliss had a great review. It revels in contradictions. It's a comedy about melancholy, a romance without consummation, a travelogue that rarely moves, which I think is very similar to all of those things. I think the interesting thing about the movie that makes it so special is that it's these two souls that are careening out of control in their lives, and the only time they're in control is when they're careening together through this fractured Tokyo hellscape that kind of like just envelopes this relationship and kind of like, whatever happens. The performances are great. The direction is great. The script, whatever, 75 pages of it, whatever. She makes every possible choice the right choice. If that makes it, I think that's an astonishing thing, is that one of the reasons I think it's her best movie is because she makes all the right choices with Murray, which is a hard thing to do. She makes all the right choices with a young Scarlett Johansson. And she makes all the right choices with how the movie plays out. The idea that you could, at the end, the ending of this movie is one of the greatest will they, won't they kind of like weird. It's unexplainable is how the ending is, because everybody has a different revelation. You think it's a platonic friendship. I think he leaves his wife. I was watching it going, is it like, I'll see you in a couple months when you come back to the States and we'll get rid of your husband, kind of like, I know it's not that long, but that's where I was. You know what I mean? I think that is an incredible thing to be able to, everybody talks about how the movie ends. Everybody talks about the beginning, the amazing, use of the male gaze and in a way that makes men feel uncomfortable, which is great. We need to be uncomfortable.
If I may be a bit personal here,
by all means,
I was thinking about my friendship with Natasha. That there's I'm not Bill Murray-esque in charm or wit, or looks or anything.
Oh, you're selling yourself short, kid.
Thank you. But
you're selling yourself short. Natasha's no Scarlett Johansson.
You know, she's without question probably my closest friend, and you know we do a lot of things.
That was a good one.
Come
on, that was funny. Yeah, just laugh. Come on.
My brain is like bouncing all over the place. And no,
that was one of the nicest things that's ever been said on the show.
By the way,
that was one of the nicest things that's ever been said on the show to another person on this show.
I'm not the biggest fan of her as an actress.
Really?
Okay.
It depends on the film.
It doesn't matter for parallel here though. So I'm like, yeah.
You're not going to love her in Jurassic World? No.
We can you know, you can have a connection with somebody the opposite sex who might be married, and you could still have a friendship and a bond about things because of, you know, mutual interests and mutual experiences. And I know this is something I've heard from people, and I dare say Natasha might have heard this too, you know, that they think, something's going on there.
Oh my God. All the fucking... We've been dealing with that for literally
10 years?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it actually did cause a problem at one point where it was like, well, obviously something has to be missing. I'm like, no! Rich and I are like, despite the fact...
yeah, she's my sister.
We're almost like two sides of the same fucking coin. We finish each other's sentences because we understand each other. It's more symbiotic than it is.
You guys are so obnoxious when you're together. And the thing is,
yes, we are. We fucking are.
Yeah, we are.
You definitely are.
It's a
you've not seen like the two of us wandering around Manhattan and stuff like that.
I can't imagine. Again, talk about eating a bullet. Anyway,
in America, and this I think is, and one of the most beautiful things about the disconnect of this film in culture is that we look at things very black and white. There must be a sexual relationship, or there must be a platonic relationship. There can be nothing in the middle. And I think the Europeans and the Japanese don't look at it in that way, and I think that's something that Sophia does very well here, is creating the idea of a symbiotic spiritual connection.
Yeah, two lost souls. Lost souls
exactly.
in a very horrible, like in both in bad positions in their lives and weird, awkward positions.
Yeah.
At very different points in their lives, but they come together and they have a communal experience.
And they are looking for something more spiritual, given what they're listening to in terms of self-help books. We see Scarlett go several times to different monasteries where she is genuinely moved by what she is seeing, whether it's
she's more spiritually.
She's more lost. He's trapped, right? There's a caged animal vibe to Bob, right? That's very endearing, but also like, you know, the tiger's got to lash out some points, and when he's presented with the, you know, a boozy lounge singer, can't pass that up. That's gotta eat the snack.
Yeah.
You know, but
it doesn't fill him. It doesn't fulfill him.
No, it doesn't satiate him in any way. And then they have the worst lunch in the history of lunches. Like I said, it's a terrible lunch. It's the opposite of the When Harry Met Sally lunch. It's diametrically opposed. It is perfectly diametrically opposed to the When Harry Met Sally lunch. And what I would also say is, I'll not have what she's having. I don't even want this fucking food. Get the food away from me.
Cat's Reuben.
I love a good Reuben. I'm not gonna lie.
I had it. It's like $30. It takes up the whole freaking plate.
Yeah, fucking delicious. Don't badmouth the Cat's Reuben.
They're
delicious.
I was saying
a Reuben. You know, like how Colbert always asks what your favorite sandwich is. That would be my sandwich. I love grilled cheese. Don't get me wrong. I'm a grilled cheese boy. I was raised on Velveeta and white bread. But Reubens have a special place in my heart, even though I don't like sauerkraut all that much.
I think Reuben might
True.
be top of my list, if not.
It's very tough. But like I said, it's an see, when I say grilled cheese, I feel grilled cheese can also be, but the Reuben is like a grilled cheese, but it's heightened, like a heightened grilled cheese. Anyway, sorry,
The best sandwich
we went on a weird
Harley
tangent,
dish.
a fat tangent sandwich story. Anyway, I think the interesting thing also about this movie is, for me, in rewatching it, there are so many iconic moments where you don't necessarily remember them, but when they happen, you're like, oh, I remember seeing that in the theater, or like just people, talking amongst themselves in a theater, reacting to it, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of like the best thing. Like the opening sequence, the last sequence are great because they cause chatting among filmgoers, right? They cause you to go, well, what do you think he said? Or why, because, you think it was platonic. I think he's leaving his wife.
I don't think it's platonic or he's leaving his wife. I think it is.
But that's what I mean. We're three pretty knowledgeable people about movies, and you can take from it whatever you want from that ending, and that's what makes it a really great film. Mm-hmm. Legacy, franchise viability. Okay, so there's no franchise, but it is the Sofia Coppola show, right? And she's gotten this movie kind of put her into the stratosphere where she doesn't have to worry about daddy to make her movies for her, right? She doesn't have to worry about money. She can get money from her own stuff. She can find things where she, basically kind of, can make her own stuff. I think the other thing that is interesting is that it is a brilliant companion piece to her, right? Because there's a legacy kind of thing is you can put these two movies together about people who are lost in the world, and they're virtually male female side of the coins, where you can kind of like watch them both and get a great jolt out of the fact that Spike Jonze and her divorced, and that they're using Scarlett Johansson, they're using a medium an actress in completely both divergent and similar ways. As objects of affection, but also as kind of like learning units, humans that are learning who they are. Mm-hmm. Not human, but for her anyway. And I think it kind of like
minor sidebar. Video and film director Spike Jonze with a Z irritates me because whenever I hear his name, I think of novelty musician from the 1940s and 50s, Spike Jonze with an S. And
so we've discovered some really weird things tonight, Rich. Bothered by some Jack Black. Also Spike Jonze because of a weird 40s reference. Interesting. But I also think this is also for Scarlett Johansson, it's kind of like, can she lead a movie? Can she hold up with an actor, a big time movie star that is Bill Murray, who's kind of, here to kind of like not make Ghostbusters 2. You know what I mean? Like, is here to actually work and do hard labor in the acting biz. She holds up remarkably well, and her performance is really kind of it's petulant when it needs to be petulant. It's sorrowful when it needs to be sorrowful. It's a really good performance. It actually kind of shows that she's been limited in the stuff. I know you were saying you don't particularly like her, but I think she's been limited in her imagination.
I think it just depends on the role. And I think a lot of movies, sorry, I'm going to say this, and I know it's a big backlash. You guys got to get past the fucking I want to fuck her, because that is what's limiting her. That is what is pigeonholing her into roles.
I said I was uncomfortable about the gays, Natasha. I said I was uncomfortable.
You said you were uncomfortable about the gays in this movie, which obviously partially is
I don't know that I don't know that I want to bang her in Lost World coming out. I mean, I might get there. I've
got to go catch a bus.
She's no Natalie. She's no Natalie Portman.
On several occasions that she is his hall pass. So and for the last 10 years,
I'm not married anymore. I don't need a hall pass.
He doesn't. He can go to the hall anytime he wants.
What I'm trying to say is, for the last 10 years, I'm sorry, Angelina Jolie has not been the hottest woman in the world. It has been Scarlett Johansson, specifically because
Natalie Portman. I'm sorry.
That's a personal opinion. I just mean general consensus here.
Okay.
And because of that, it's pigeonholing her into roles where she is not really showcasing everything that she can do. That being said, I thoroughly stand behind the fact that she was nominated for 2 Academy Awards in the same year, Jojo Rabbit and Marriage Story. Mm-hmm. Both films showcase that she is a fucking actress with incredible prowess. But
I think we got that with her Woody Allen work too in Match Point and Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
That was 2004, and she wasn't even really the lead of Vicky Cristina Barcelona. And
excuse me, Barcelona.
Bite me. We know that the woman of that film, the one who really got to showcase their acting chops, wasn't even Rebecca Hall. It was Penelope Cruz.
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine. I think the legacy of this movie is that Coppola gets a free pass to do whatever she wants, and that Bill Murray had a brief shining moment where we were talking while you were gone. The idea of Bill Murray going to an Academy Award lunch has got to be one of the weirdest concepts because he just doesn't like that shit at all. And so it was a good thing for him in that he got what he wanted. You know, he showed up, he did what he was supposed to do. I think Coppola gets a lot of the legacy from this because, again, she doesn't have to go and beg and get a Zoetrope production credit. You know what I mean? Like, she can get that.
Remember, too, she has her, is it her directorial debut? Eleanor the Great is coming up later this year, early next year, which stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and who else is in that thing? Hold on. June Squibb. So, you know, she is, you know, kind of expanding
that is a couple I can get behind.
I still say Asteroid City she's really good in. Hail Caesar, I think, plays on the fact that she can be pretty on screen, and then like when her character is off camera, she's not as pretty. She, you know, she's very snarly and a bitter character, and I think
I think
changes her face a bit for that.
Coppola's kind of like
where it's just like that is not a glamour shot of the actress. This is the character is just an ugly person kind of a shot.
Coppola's last big movie was Priscilla. She also has produced recently and directed A Very Merry Christmas for Netflix,
which is really good.
Yeah, it's really good. So it might be the key to what Natasha was saying of being able to rein him in and be able to get him to do whatever. Okay, Natasha, this is a perfect way to end this episode and talk about where we're headed next. Where Rich and I are headed next. Who you got for Bond, Natasha?
First off, that's not going to be the end of the episode because you didn't even talk about the through line. All right. So
I was assuming that you would give the through line of your movies. Rich and I have tried to guess. I did the Outsider.
You guessed off screen, not on screen.
I did not. I get. Wait a second. Okay, I'll guess on screen for you. I feel you were trying to do movies where outsiders to the regular societal functions are like they're offshoot characters where they're careening out of control, trying to stay within the realm of society.
You're pushing too hard right now.
Well, I'm giving you an actual thing I can tie 3 movies together. If you come out and say they use pastels, I'm gonna freak the fuck out.
No,
No,
but it's so much simpler than you're
well,
making out
but
to
I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to make it what I was thinking the whole time. Like, because Platoon is the outlier, right? Young women dealing with societal crushes or societal crushing down on them is an easy thing for Emma and Lost in Translation. Where you get the problem for me is Platoon, and the only thing I can think of is these people that are in society that are offshoots of whatever the society is deeming their future or their.
Okay, you're done. You're done. It's
Go ahead,
you're
Rich.
wrong. 100%.
They all wore
Rich.
green.
Oh, I like that. I was kind of going, as we were going through this, I was starting to think, oh, is this a class thing? But I really don't see kind of like a class, any kind of class coming into this story. These are characters who are individuals, not representations of a certain economic strata of the country.
He's rich and she's not. She's tag along for the ride. He doesn't have a job. She's a philosophy major.
Nothing is made of that. So she's not emblematic of a middle-class wife. He's not emblematic of a rich person reaching down and saying, come along, poor, and we will have adventures.
Okay, ripping to him. Ripping to him.
He's wrong too. He's 100% wrong too.
I swear to God, if you say like there was an assistant director who was on all of them. Yeah, go ahead. What is it? What's your through line, Natasha, of your
What month are we, by the way?
We're in March.
And what is March?
Madness.
What is March known for?
In like a lion out
like a lamb?
Women's Month. So, yes, I know. You're like, wait, Platoon is the outlier. I fucking threw Platoon in to trip you up, but it still fits.
Papillon soon.
Last year, I did films that were directed by women. This year, I wanted to focus on women in non-traditional crew positions who were recognized for their hard work. All 3 films had a woman who won an Academy Award.
Like I said, it's the class structure. That's the equivalent of green pastels.
Platoon from the 80s, you had Claire Simpson, who won an Academy Award for film editing.
I'm so frustrated with you right now. I've been thinking about this for 3 weeks, and you give me an Academy Award-winning female in it.
For Emma, we had our first.
Fair. Come on.
Our first ever Academy Award-winning female.
You know what? It is fair. It is fair, but I would say, and I'm going to say this with all the respect, I expect more from you.
Again, who else is going to highlight them if it's not me?
We do. Wait a second. We do a pretty good job of trying to find stuff where things are. We try to.
Again, I was trying to highlight the non-typical female crew positions. Not makeup, not costume, not set design, not acting. I wanted the things.
So what did the Academy Award win for Platoon? What was she?
Film editing.
Nice. Okay, this film also has a film editor. That's good. Okay, a female film editor. Awesome. Okay. Next time, I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna guess. There's an important female somewhere in the movie.
Well, if you have me in March, trust me, you will.
And for Emma, the Emma was the score. The lady that Emma won the score.
And what is this?
Well, it's Sofia Coppola winning for best screenplay.
Bingo. Not for directing, but for writing. And it was originally going to be Emma Thompson for Sense and Sensibility, but I found that Rachel Portman was more important to highlight from the 90s Austen films. Because without her, she probably wouldn't have paved the way for our composer from Joker.
you know what, Natasha, we fight and I joke with you, but I love your sense and sensibility, so to speak.
You're so sweet.
Anyway,
You want the Bond?
I want the Bond. Who you got, Natasha?
Yeah, he wants the men, not the fucking women. God.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get away from that. We've done enough women stuff now, I guess. I don't. What are you, crazy? I
sat you through Platoon, and you're saying you want more women, less women? Wow, bitch. All right, so I have two possibles that I am looking at right now that I think would make great additions. One is a little more green than the other. Actually, I technically have three, but the third one is kind of really fucking green.
There's that next color. There's that color again.
All right, so the least likely option, but I would still throw him up there, is Jacob Anderson, famously known for playing, what's his name, Grey Worm in Game of Thrones, and is right now playing Louis de Pontelac on Interview with a Vampire. He's 34 years old. He's just reaching the cusp. And apart from those specific roles, Louis is obviously the front, which may cut him out completely. I think he would be, he has shown he has the acting chops. He's still kind of not well known. The age is probably the big factor. But I think he could do it. I love the idea of Johnny Flynn, who is definitely not well known, but definitely has the fucking chops. Problem is he's 42 years old, which means he's a no-go.
Yeah, out.
Completely out. If you want someone who's a little not very well known, little green, but has potential, I would say Leo Woodall, who is a British actor who's 28, currently has done several things such as Citadel, Cherry, The White Lotus.
I think Citadel's too close to Bond.
It was a very minor role. Most people wouldn't even know he was in it.
So these are the...
Hold on. Bridget Jones' Mad About a Boy is what really just kind of featured him, and recently played the lead in One Day on Netflix. And if you want someone super fucking green who was in the most minor role,
I think you're going too green. I think Amazon's gonna go super like when they talk March Madness, they're gonna go chalk. I think they're gonna go chalk.
I don't think so. Because they understand that this is a star-making role. Yes, Pierce Brosnan was the outlier, but again, there was a separation between the film and the time. Daniel Craig was well known, but as an indie.
So you haven't talked. You haven't talked to anybody.
I would say Roger Moore was kind of well known for The Saint.
He was The Saint and all kinds of stuff. I would also say,
but he wasn't known in film.
But again, TV, film.
Exactly.
You haven't talked to Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's been.
He's way too fucking big now. Way too big. Right age.
Also, I'm going to tell you right now, if they saw Craven, they're like, no.
But if they can't
have the role anymore.
They would say yes. So
he was mid enough.
He's too fucking big.
Did you love Nosferatu too? Am I missing something? I didn't love it.
I loved it. I fucking loved it. I've seen every Nosferatu.
I understand that, but I thought it was. I didn't think it was as good as Dracula. I just didn't. That could be my 90s upbringing. You didn't mention Regé-Jean Page. You didn't mention Joe Alwyn.
Joe Alwyn, I think, is a little too well known, as is Will Poulter. Will Poulter, I would have said yes before he nabbed Guardian.
Joe Alwyn too well known. The only thing he's been in is The Brutalist.
He
was in The Favorite. And he dated Taylor Swift, so that already counts.
because of the class background involved with Bond, Regé-Jean Page is maybe not a good pick. I hate
I don't
that.
think he is.
You know,
I'm just giving you the.
to be a
I'm just
white
giving
guy,
you.
that's sort of
I'm
part of the
giving you the-
character in that he comes from a bit of a class background and then was orphaned.
I'm giving you chalk people.
If I
I'm
was
giving
going to
you-
pick a Bridgerton lead
But-
for Bond, it would be the guy who plays Colin Bridgerton. Unfortunately, I also know that the actor himself has a nervous condition being around people in public. And because of that might mean that he is not
I'm gonna
willing
give
to
you
take
one-
on roles that are that
I'm going to give you
big.
one that I think is coming on strong, and I'm going to give you one that I think fits your less known but also kind of known. I'm going to give it to you right now, and I'm going to tell you I think Josh O'Connor has to be in the conversation.
Too big.
Right? You think he's too big?
I think he's too big.
But he's thin.
I'm not talking physique. I'm saying as a star, he's too big now. Between challengers,
You are getting stuck on this.
dude, you don't even understand the
Amazon
amount
doesn't. I know I do. I'm just saying. I think you're stuck on this thing. Amazon does not give a fuck about making somebody into a star. They don't. They want somebody that has something.
Oh wait, neither does Star Wars. Blow me. Of course they do. They pick unknowns for a reason. Why? Because these are roles that are going to
I'm gonna say this to you, and I love you because it blows your Star Wars argument right out of the ring. Ewan McGregor is not unknown.
When he was picked,
he was not unknown.
He was known where? Where was he known?
Trainspotting.
And what is Trainspotting?
Big hit.
Movie about heroin?
But an indie film, a lower budget indie movie.
Right, but he was.
You're not picking Superman to take on James Bond.
Well, no, but what I'm saying to you is I think that's not in the parameters of what's going to happen with Bond under Amazon. I don't. All things.
AW is saying Amazon is going for a different approach than what
all the other Bond
plays have done. And he may be right, he may be wrong, we'll find out. Anyways, if you want to see Regé-Jean Page in a really cool spy movie, go find Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag, because he's really good in that.
Or if you really want, if you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, which I clearly do.
I just watched that last week.
He's fantastic. He's great at. He's so great as Paladin. It's such
dry. It's hilarious.
Such a great role. And I can't wait. Amazon's next big thing, or Netflix's next big thing, is a show from the same folks that did the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I am so on board with what they're working on and trying to do that, because they're talking about doing a Hand of Vecna thing and all kinds of weird shit. Anyway, so Natasha, this is your swan song with us for now.
For now,
we'll see you later in the year for Christmas. You always show up when there's a tree around.
Damn straight you do.
Damn
so
straight.
Arbor Day.
Well, here's an interesting thing. We're always thinking about doing new things. We're also thinking about doing Bondathon. And Bondathon, frankly, we're running out of Bond movies to do, and they're not making them fast enough for us. And what I bastards.
Would you prefer quantity or quality?
I want quality, but I would like them to get off their ass, because I'm not getting any.
I want a quantity of good quality.
Yeah, that's right. I want a lot of fucking Bond films before I get rid of this mortal coil. But
you get three things. You get good, quick, or cheap.
Well, it's not going to be cheap, and it's not going to be quick. So we're already past the point of it being quick. No Time to Die came out almost 4 years ago. We're well past the point of it being quick. But Rich and I were talking about what we're going to do and what we want to do, and we're going to do a franchise that we have never done, and we're going to do it in its entirety, leading up to it.
You're doing Mission Impossible, aren't you? I fucking knew it.
And what I would say is, for the folks at home, the mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch us as we go through all of the Mission Impossible movies, starting with the first one, all the way through up through Dead Reckoning Part 1, all leading up to the big finale on May 25th, where we think it's Ethan Hunt's last dance. Who knows? Or not. But I'm beginning to think it is the end. And if it is, I would like people to know how much I love this franchise and how underrated it is as a franchise. Not all of them are great, but most of them are. And I would also say that it is one of the things that I always say to people with regards to Tom Cruise that I've been saying. I don't care that he's a fucking nut who jumps on couches. All I know is when I go into a Tom Cruise movie, he gives me 100. He gives me 100.
Come on.
I don't give a shit. He still gets. People still talk about it in NATASHA. And if you say you're a Tom Cruise fan, you get that. They're like, aren't you worried about his little fucking nuts? Yeah, I don't care. I would say that the Mission Impossible movies, and Rich has heard me say this, and I will say it again tonight, he always gives me 120%, no matter what the movie is. You know, whether it's a low-budget movie, whether it's Magnolia, whether it's whatever, he gives me 120. I appreciate that. And if you like our show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel on the bottom. Find us on Facebook. We will see Natasha again. She will return James Bond style. Natasha Bogutzki will return at some point in the future. Thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody have a great week. And, a lot of movies opening this way. One movie opening that my nephews are excited about. And then there's fucking Happy Meals that are coming out tomorrow that are
my condolences.
It's going to be the fucking rant. The Happy Meals, I think, are going to be worse than the fucking movie. The Happy Meals, there's an adult Happy Meal, there's a children's Happy Meal, and there are toys. There's a Grimace Minecraft figure that I think people are going to be fucking going gaga about. I do like McDonald's toys, I'm not going to lie. I have on the shelf back here behind me, back here, actually, there is a Golden McNugget. I have one of the Golden McNuggets that are worth like $150. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. But I just realized that.
Meals, so.
I just realized that through the entire news section, we didn't talk CinemaCon at all.
We did.
Well, it only started like an hour ago.
We didn't.
The Sony presentation started an hour ago.
Do you know that AMC, and this is just the thing she's off shooting because she doesn't want to leave. That's the secret. Natasha actually doesn't want to leave our show.
I just want to talk about Downton Abbey.
What I would say.
Later.
Yes, the most important thing coming out of CinemaCon is Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, the grand finale. Get it right.
Stop.
Downton Abbey, Final Reckoning.
The Final Reckoning. Maggie Smith's Revenge.
And
what I want to say about CinemaCon, the interesting thing that I saw at CinemaCon, at some point they had 3 posters together, and all I could think of, and I put them up, and I'll talk more about it tomorrow on Loud Nerdy, but they had Superman, Jurassic World, and Fantastic Four together, like 3 posters, and all I could think to myself is a license to print money in July is no hyperbole. It could be the largest box office month in the last 20 years, 10 years, 15 years,
possibly. Yeah.
Something.
Also, can we talk about how really quick Wicked for Good is a shit title, because I started
poster's amazing.
Someone started breaking into a Bostonian accent.
But good for Wicked Good. Wicked Good. They're gonna be wicked good. Yo, that Felba. I like that Felba. Wicked Good.
I just want to remind our viewers, though, CinemaCon is a convention for theater owners. So they're concentrating on just what's in the pipeline for the next 12 months. So some trailer reveals, some poster reveals, some things like that. We're not going to hear exciting new announcements about, casting for a Marvel movie 3 years down the road or shit like that. And people are always like, oh, I wonder if we're going to get the, Secret Wars casting announcement at CinemaCon. No, This is
No.
you're
Are you
gonna
sure
get.
we're not
you're
going to get
gonna
casting
Thunderbolts.
announcements? By the way, my favorite casting announcement the last week we didn't talk about it at all. Also, this is my particular favorite casting because I am a Nightcrawler guy. I've always been a Nightcrawler guy. I love Nightcrawler.
I loved him as Nightcrawler.
He was so good as Nightcrawler. And also, when I used to play a video game in the 90s, Rich, I know you were there. I know you played the video game too. I used Nightcrawler.
I don't think he did.
You never played the video game?
I'm not a video game guy. The last video game console
the X-Men game, the X-Men giant thing where you got to pick an X-Men and everybody was like doing their own thing, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style. Nightcrawler was fantastic because he would just zip around the board. It was amazing. Anyway, we're not going to. That's not what CinemaCon's about. CinemaCon's about making theater owners comfortable. That maybe we're gonna get out of this fucking rut.
They give you trailers, titles, and
also, I don't know if you guys are having this. I don't know if Cinemark or Regal are doing this. Do you know that AMC a week from now has a CinemaCon thing? It's $3. It's an hour and a half, just behind the scenes at CinemaCon.
Huh?
$3, hour and a half. But we never get to see.
Rich,
You get to
you're
see
on
it
your
after the fact.
own. I'm not going.
Anyway, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see everybody not next week, but the week after, and starting our mission. Should you choose to accept it? Bum 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 bum.
My eyes nearly just got stuck from.
We will be doing Mission Impossible. The Brian De Palma, Tom Cruise, actor who doesn't need to be named anymore. We'll be talking about it.
And maybe I'll do a dramatic reading from Paul Heller's unmade Mission Impossible movie script from the mid 80s.
Maybe. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you, Natasha, for gracing us with your presence. Again, just female Academy Award winning people. Awesome.
Yes.